Alright everyone, the cost of dental education is out of fucking control. Absolutely out of control. It's ridiculous. I was planning on going to the Tufts University School of Dental Medicine next fall. I had been accepted there conditionally through the linkage program with the Tufts Post-Bac Pre-Med program. But when my Army HPSP, Health Profession Scholarship Program, scholarship fell through, that would have paid for my Tufts dental education. That fell through in May due to my medical history. And at that point, I was faced with the decision of either not attending Tufts after all, or paying the exorbitant, ridiculous, absolutely unfathomable Tufts University Dental School tuition, which, as of last week, if I'm not mistaken, there was a tuition hike, is now $96,000 per year in fees and tuition alone. And that does not include expensive Boston living expenses. So if I were to pay the tuition at $96,000 a year and then pay, I don't know, 20 grand a year in living expenses, which is definitely on the conservative end, considering I probably wouldn't have been able to sleep in the city for less than $1,000 a month, then I would have been borrowing, $120,000 a year just to attend Tufts Dental School. Now, the kicker is this. Assuming you're borrowing that money because you don't have that money in the bank already and your parents aren't just going to give you that money, which some people do have that option. Their parents spot them the money to go to dental school. Then I would have had to borrow that money from the bank, and I would have borrowed it at a 6 or 7 or 8% interest rate, and the interest starts immediately. The interest starts immediately. So as soon as I take out that first $100,000 loan, the interest on that loan starts accumulating and accumulates for the next 4 years while I'm in dental school. Take out my first loan, 120 grand, interest starts right away. Take out my second loan, sophomore year, interest is still building on the first year, and now interest starts on the second year. So on and so forth for years 3 and 4. And so now you're looking at a over $400,000 principal and multiple years of compounded interest. Ends up being more like you end up graduating with something like $560,000 in debt. Now, for someone like me whose ambition is to become an orthodontist or an oral surgeon, now you're looking at another 2 or 3 years of orthodontic residency, or in the case of oral surgery, several more years even than that. And that whole time, the interest is accumulating on all the loans you took prior, including that first $120,000 loan from your first year of dental school. So what happens is, this is fucking ridiculous. What happens is you could end up graduating from dental school with your residency. Oh, and by the way, you pay for residency. It's not like medical school residency where you actually get paid. You pay for your dental school residency in most cases. You end up graduating with, could be over $1 million in debt. $1 million fucking dollars in debt. Is that, what? So, I mean, it's demoralizing for me to even think about this because I really wanted to go to Tufts. I did. I wanted to go to Tufts, but these numbers are just too staggering. I mean, at age 29, let's say I went to school for 4 to 7 or 10 more years. If I were to do oral surgery, then I would graduate at age 40 with that, $500,000 to $1 million in debt. And I just couldn't do it. I couldn't bring myself to do it, especially because my views on, my age was a factor, and then also just my opinions on these dental matters are controversial, right? They're not exactly welcome, or they're not exactly music to the ears of the dental establishment. So what if I were to take out that debt and then all of a sudden they were to mew me, right? Decide that I was no longer good company for them, and they were to lobby to have me removed from organized dentistry, and they succeeded at that. And I were to get stuck without a dental license and 750 grand in debt, then what would I do? I would be screwed. So the sheer cost, the exorbitant cost of dental education at Tufts University, and honestly, it's true, that's the cost at pretty much any private school. You're looking at least 100 grand a year, you know, a little bit less if you're lucky. I was faced with the choice of either going into a crippling amount of debt or not going at all. And so I opted out of the acceptance to Tufts, and I will complete the Tufts post-bac pre-med program through next May. I have 2 more semesters. I start organic chemistry and a bio elective called endocrinology next week. I will finish with the program and then look to apply to cheaper schools next cycle. Basically, that means out of state. So I will be applying as an out-of-state student to public dental schools. State schools like the University of Texas has 3 of them. And there are some other good options in terms of state schools. The University of Connecticut. These schools have lower rates for in-state students. And at those schools in particular, I will be eligible for in-state tuition after my first year. So the first year will be expensive as all hell, but it then gets cheaper after my first year. So that's my tentative plan. Anyone who's considering dental school really needs to be aware of these ridiculous costs and just know what you're in for, man. I mean, crunch the numbers. Don't bury your head in the sand like so many pre-med and pre-dental students do. Don't live in the dark. Check out the Student Loan Planner. He's got a great YouTube presence and blog. And the numbers are sobering. So I wanted to share that news with y'all because I know some of you are following my career trajectory and are hoping that I become a dentist sooner rather than later. But there's going to be at least a 1-year delay on that happening because I will not be going to Tufts next year purely due to the finances of it. All right, that's all for now. Peace out.